Christmas is a time for togetherness, cheer, and demons? It's not just rom-coms and action movies that take place during Christmas. Horror movies do too. Here are the 15 best Christmas horror movies ranked. Treevenge is a short film that doesn't waste any time getting to the point. One particular tree is simply not going to let itself be a part of the Christmas festivities without a fight.
What is it?
Look, I got a chainsaw! No! Look at me! I got a dog!
The murderous tree goes on a rampage, killing pets and filling eye sockets with pine needles. If someone needs to sell you on why Treevenge is a hysterical and transgressive time at the movies, it's probably not going to be your thing. That said, director Jason Eisner, who would go on to helm the hilariously over-the-top cult classic Hobo with a Shotgun, is nothing if not a craftsman. And Treevenge is stuffed with more inventive shots than many feature-length films. The short serves as proof that long runtimes and complex themes don't necessarily guarantee a great time at the movies. As it turns out, sometimes construction and creativity are enough to get the job done, but maybe don't watch it in front of your Christmas tree. Slow burn horror is a difficult beast. Make a movie with too little build, and it doesn't fit the genre. Make one with too little payoff, and the whole thing ends up feeling insubstantial. That being said, indie horror mainstay A.J. Bowen's I Trapped the Devil finds an elegant way to strike that tricky balance effectively. Is any day of the year more emblematic of high-stakes waiting than December 24th? The plot of I Trapped the Devil supercharges the evening's built-in anticipation, focusing on a couple who arrive at their extended family's home for the holidays, only to find that
there's a man in the basement.
Well, maybe. It could also be
the devil.
With tremendous performances anchoring the film's moody and unnerving atmosphere, I Trapped the Devil serves as a prime example of a slow burn flick done right. Christmas horror standout Better Watch Out subverts the classic Home Alone trope in a variety of ways, mainly in how the kids turn out to be the antagonists.
Luke, listen to me, okay?
I didn't say talk. You talk when I tell you.
And no, this technically isn't a spoiler since it's revealed quite overtly in the trailer. Either way, knowing what's coming won't change your enjoyment of the film one bit. Chris Peckover's direction is stylish enough to make the film better than a straightforward Home Alone riff. On the acting side, Better Watch Out boasts several stars before their breakout, including Stranger Things' Dacre Montgomery and rising genre stalwart Olivia de Jong.
You were never gonna let me go, were you?
Even though you'll know what you're getting into before you even click play, there are still plenty of gory surprises that will keep you watching until the very end. Those of us who have children truly understand why Christmas can be stressful. For the rest of us who have yet to take on the responsibility, we at least have enough secondhand experience to imagine it well enough. So it's little wonder that The Children, a British horror film released in 2008, is so brazenly effective. The story revolves around two families gathered together for the holidays whose children become sick and suddenly violent.
Oh God, you're so cold. Are you sick?
What's more, director Tom Shankland elicits sterling performances from his entire ensemble of both minor and adult performers, who inexorably shift the film's premise from ridiculous to sublimely scary. The Children plugs audiences into a bevy of nightmares all at once, from the interpersonal to the supernatural, and its ability to do both makes it linger in the mind long after credits roll.
Can't unsee it once you've seen it, can you?
No, you can't unsee it. It's nightmare fuel. That'll be with me forever.
Black Christmas will appear on this list 3 times in 3 different forms. Somehow, when no one was looking, Bob Clark's ice-cold slasher classic became both a template for and a time capsule of the latest horror trends. Upon its release, 2006's Black Christmas was written off as nothing more than a 1970s retread. However, thanks to slick direction by Glenn Morgan, who wrote Final Destination and some episodes of The X-Files, the first reboot offers a gorehound's paradise, serving as a summit for some of the decade's more notable teen movie superstars to be memorably killed off. 2019's Black Christmas, in contrast, inverts the focus of Clark's original chiller, honing in on the terrors women face on a daily basis more than those of evil mass psychopaths.
You were so sexy. Oh, you're so bad.
Don't worry though, the 2019 take is still full of costume villains. But without getting into spoilers, the specters of macho hostility and gaslighting feel just as deadly, if not more so, in this version. Neither reimagining of Black Christmas can compare to the original, but they're definitely worthy of this list. Christmas and musicals pair as impeccably as milk and cookies, hence the staggering amount of them that have been made over the years. 2017's Anna and the Apocalypse stands out easily enough, thanks to its inclusion of a decidedly non-holiday entity, zombies. Lots of zombies.
Mrs. Hinsman?
Greenlit during the heart of the zombie movie boom, Anna and the Apocalypse is as gleefully genre-blending as Warm Bodies, Cooties, or Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Its songs are obviously its most enduring feature, and feel like the logical extension of the bouncy, endearing tunes which made the Buffy musical episode so memorable. Add in some hysterical, Yuletide-inspired gore, and you have a recipe for a great Christmas horror watch that you might see on stage before long. Yes, we've included a television episode in this list, and with good reason. All Through the House, which is the second episode of HBO's breakthrough horror anthology series Tales from the Crypt, is an impeccably crafted Yuletide Yelp yarn. Its greatness isn't too surprising, considering it was directed by all-time great Robert Zemeckis, who is best known for non-holiday, non-horror favorites like Forrest Gump and Back to the Future. Don't expect that same family-friendly appeal here, though. All Through the House follows a beleaguered housewife who murders her husband and then has to survive an encounter with an escaped psychopath who's dressed as St. Nicholas.
Hello, kitties.
Every frame is perfectly composed, and the end result is a breathless ride from start to finish. There's no reason not to think of it as a short film, and as such, it's still better than several entries on this list. And All Through the House has more than earned its spot, television episode or not. Rare Exports, a fantastic Finnish horror film directed by Jalmari Halander, is one of those movies that's presented as a sort of fairy tale, but is filled with adult content, from a monstrous, murderous Saint Nick to a surprising amount of male genitalia. Truly, it's as if Rare Exports took it upon itself to restore the decades-old balance between male and female nudity in movies.
It's about bloody time.
The film's balance of whimsy and pitch-black horror perfectly encapsulates the feeling of the holiday season at almost any age. It's the sort of film you're surprised to discover most people like, even if horror isn't generally their cup of tea. Alex de la Iglesia has made a career out of defibrillator horror. His movies are made for folks whose love of film is in cardiac arrest, who need a shock to restore their faith in what cinema and the horror genre can do. His recent breakthrough TV hit, the gothic and buck-wild 30 Coins, is pitch-perfect proof of this. The Day of the Beast is another, and one that can't be ignored when it comes to Christmas horror films. Iglesias' thrilling early career highlight features heavy metal fans, psychic priests, and an infant antichrist, all against the backdrop of Christmas. It sears crazy image after crazier image right onto your brain until its wildness is your everything. And if your family only watches, say, The Family Stone or Prancer during the Christmas season, this is a film to shake up those doldrums. Near the beginning of the 21st century, art form critic James Quant dubbed a set of recent films the new French extremity. Their hallmarks include an unruly convergence of exploitation tropes and art house presentation, and are often full of body horror, slasher, and torture porn elements.
You have my curiosity.
Inside, a late New French Extremity offering, is a glowing example of the genre. A scissors-induced C-section is just one of the stomach-churning horrors we're subjected to as viewers, and terrifyingly enough, it isn't the most discomforting one. Aside from the blood, deeply felt performances by Alison Paradis and Beatrice Dalla anchor and complement the distorted riffs of the plot. Through them, the film almost becomes traditional. This combination of over-the-top body horror and sublime acting is what makes Inside a legit Christmas horror film worthy of this list. It's unclear why Krampus was ever deemed a disappointment. As noted on Rotten Tomatoes, the film, quote, doesn't have quite the savage bite its concept calls for, but that doesn't mean it isn't a quality Christmas horror romp. We obviously think it is, since we've placed it in the top 5 of this list. The story of a family whose squabbling summons the fearsome demon of Austro-Bavarian folklore, Krampus, makes no character indispensable and finds no holiday tradition it can't skewer.
Lord Almighty. Looks like Martha Stewart threw up in here.
The opening sequence, which finds a round of holiday shopping grow hysterically violent, is particularly savage in its depiction of the toxic consumerism that annually plagues the Christmas season. When it isn't killing characters off, it's giving those characters room to breathe, metaphorically at least, and employing dynamite actors like Adam Scott and Toni Collette to bring them to life.
Wow. You saved everything. Yeah. Figured that's what Mom would have done, you know?
An R-rated version dropped in December 2021, but honestly, we should also be celebrating the great version of Krampus we already have. Life's too short for underrating. If you are between the ages of 28 and 40, Oogie and Boogie are two words which still might terrify you. And if you don't know why Oogie Boogie strikes fear in the hearts of grown adults, you need to watch The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Lovely. Tickle, tickle, tickle.
The Nightmare Before Christmas is one of the best examples of a Christmas horror movie. It's a Christmas movie in the sense that it believes in the best of its characters. Accordingly, director Henry Selick extends them the gift of a happy ending, or at least their version of a happy ending. The Nightmare Before Christmas is also a horror film, because only a horror film would construct the waking nightmare that is the Oogie Boogie Man, and dispatch him in such a way that we still think about it every time we see an errant bug. In Christmas Tales, punishment is just. Here, it's also just a little cruel. That edge makes The Nightmare Before Christmas like the protagonists who inhabit it, a blend of separate and wonderful worlds. It's the best. Bob Clark's 1974 film, Black Christmas, is the proof in the figgy pudding that holiday horror films can not only exist, but thrive at the box office. The cold, stark realism of Clark's vision still has few equals in either horror or the slasher subgenre.
Phil! Bob! Please answer me! Please answer me!
And while we've already sung the praises of its two reboots, the original is unmatched in its clarity of vision. In fact, one could make a solid argument that the original Black Christmas is the reason that there's even enough Christmas horror movies to make this list. Black Christmas is excellent and relentlessly disturbing, making it one of the ultimate Christmas horror classics. In our humble opinion, Joe Dante, B-movie wonderkind, made the blueprint for the best kind of Christmas horror movie. Step 1. Juxtapose an archetypal Scrooge with another character who wholeheartedly loves Christmas. Step 2. Find time to make a Christmas tree ominous. Step 3. Add at least one sequence anyone would feel guilty for watching on Christmas. That is the blueprint for Gremlins, and that blueprint is perfect. If you've been living under a rock since 1984, here's the plot of Gremlins. A gadget salesman buys a rare pet, a Mogwai, for his son Billy, a gift that turns out to be more complicated than he thought.
Cute.
There are rules for owning this pet. Those rules get broken, gremlins get birthed, and Dante's film goes from 0 to 11 pretty quick.
What are they? What are they?
Every set piece in Gremlins is more memorable than the last. The fact that the kitchen and YMCA sequences happen back to back is some sort of cinematic miracle. More than that, the movie is transgressive. After Gremlins and Steven Spielberg's Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom were criticized for their violent scenes, the MPAA developed the PG-13 rating for movies too mature for PG and too tame for the R rating. There's no catching that sort of Yuletide lightning in a bottle again, and Gremlins is an enduring testament to both a genre and a holiday's transformative, wicked powers. Check out one of our newest videos right here, plus even more slash film videos about your favorite stuff are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.